Good evening, I'm Bill Paul. It'll soon be RRSP season. Many of you will be out hunting for the best deals. Tonight, I'll have a report on one plan you may want to think twice about.
Hello, I'm Norma Kent, and I'll be here to talk about the talk of the toy world. We'll look at the best buys for the Christmas season. And on Market Watch, we'll tell you about this smoke hood. If you're caught in a fire, it could save your life. But first, Bill with a report on a controversial RRSP.
The choices seem endless when you go out to buy an RRSP. There are term deposits with a fixed interest rate. You can invest in mutual funds, bonds, real estate. There's also another type of plan someone might offer you. This one combines savings and life insurance. The company calls it a unique package that forces you to save. But others have just one message for potential buyers: stay away.
I can't believe that anybody that understood a contract like this would sign it. RRSPs are good, insurance policies are good, but a bad combination of the two of them is a bad contract.
The agent wants to sell it because it pays a whopping big commission by contrast to other RRSP programs, and the company wants to sell it because it's got a fat, overpriced insurance policy in it that's going to be very profitable.
He said, here's the forms, Diane. He said, no, you sign here and here and here and here. He knew I wouldn't read the contract. I just signed where he told me to sign. He knew I trusted him that well.
Before you sign up for this policy, there are a few things you should know about it. This is actually a life insurance policy that qualifies as an RRSP. Supposedly, the idea is that you get retirement savings and life insurance in one convenient package. Unfortunately, this convenient package may not be such a good deal. Most companies no longer sell insurance policies as RRSPs, but one of the largest insurance companies in Canada still does. Manulife Financial calls this policy the Investor. But as some customers have discovered, that's not always the best name for it.
I'm a single mom. I've been on my own now for 10 years bringing up my son. I started thinking about when I get older, and I decided I wanted to get an RRSP.
It was about a year and a half ago that Diane Legere of Cambridge, Ontario, told a Manulife agent that she wanted to take out that RRSP. The agent advised her to buy the Investor, and Legere began putting $73 a month into the plan. 15 months later, she decided to transfer her RRSP to a group plan at work. It was then that Legere discovered what she'd really bought. What did you think you were buying?
I thought I was buying an RRSP.
And what did you get?
I got life insurance with a savings plan, is what I ended up with.
Legere says this was the first time her agent told her that she didn't have an ordinary RRSP.
I turned to him and I point blank said, why is there life insurance? I wanted an RRSP. I already have life insurance. He had sold me my life insurance. I had group insurance from where I worked. I didn't need more life insurance.
But whether she wanted it or not, she had it. Manulife told Legere that her money was locked into the plan for 10 years. If she tried to take it out, she'd pay a financial penalty called a surrender charge. In Legere's case, that penalty amounted to virtually all the money she'd put into the plan.
How much money did you have in there at this point?
I had about $1,200, and they gave me a check for $7.86.
That's the first major drawback to this type of savings plan. Once you've signed on the dotted line, your money is locked in. There's no guarantee what money you will earn, and it doesn't matter how the investment may be doing. If you stop making payments or try to take your money out any time during the first 10 years, you lose all or a good part of your investment. Ken Beaugrand is Senior Vice President and General Manager of Manulife Financial.
Now, we talked to 10 of the largest insurance companies, and they told us that they didn't offer this kind of policy because it was a bad idea to combine life insurance and an RRSP. Why does Manulife still offer this kind of plan when the majority of companies have stopped selling?
Well, we think that the unique combination of the savings product with the life insurance component addresses a consumer need. We find that the research has shown that some people feel that it is important for them to be able to have a mechanism that allows them to continue to save, forces them to save.
Bill McLeod is a professor of business at Cambrian College in Sudbury and the author of a consumer handbook on the insurance industry.
I think that's the worst possible kind of RRSP anybody could buy.
Why?
Because it forces people to combine savings and insurance in the same contract. You can't separate them out sometimes, and you can't get out of them without paying a terrible financial penalty. You can't transfer them to another institution. If you're stuck, if you don't have a job or you can't make the payments, you're in deep trouble.
If you put $1,000 in your bank RRSP, an interest-bearing RRSP, and you decide a year later you don't want that anymore, it's your $1,000 plus the interest belongs to you. You can do whatever you want with the money. You put that same $1,000 in the investor, you can kiss it goodbye.
Bob Barney is the president of CompuLife, a company that provides rate information to insurance agents. He's also past president of the Independent Insurance Brokers of Canada.
I think agents play an important role in the sale of the product. In other words, it's a product sold, not bought. If you opened up a bank and you sold investor over the counter along with your other RSP options, I'd venture to guess you wouldn't sell too many investors.
When it comes to selling, Manulife agents appear to get plenty of advice from the company, including advice about such things as how to deal with the subject of those hefty financial penalties. This internal company sales memo, related to a policy with similar penalties, is called How to Sell Surrender Charges. In it, Manulife advises agents that most of the time, you won't even discuss surrender charges with your client.
I don't really understand this memo to your salespeople, how to sell surrender charges, that says when you come to convince your client, most of the time you won't even discuss surrender charges with your client. Why would you say that to your sales staff?
I haven't seen the memo, so...
It's Manulife letterhead. And
Well, this is dated in 1985, and as I indicated to you, this is clearly not our current practice. In fact, the practice is significantly different than this memorandum, because since that time in 1988 we introduced I think the highest level of disclosure that exists in the industry with respect to any variable type of product.
why did you make the change in 1988? Was there a problem with this sort of thing?
I was not with the organization at that point in time, so I can't comment in terms of what the reasons might have been. But I think it's fair to say that we, as a company, believe that it is important for the consumer to get good value and to treat the consumer very importantly. My personal beliefs are very strong in this regard. I think that the consumer deserves to be treated fairly by any institution or business that they deal with. And so that's part of our philosophy.
So you may decide that you're willing to make those monthly payments for at least 10 years in order to get retirement savings and a life insurance policy in one. But are you really getting both? Well, not exactly. You see, part of the payments you make will go to pay for your insurance premium, and part will be invested. But what happens if you die before you can cash in your RRSP? Well, your beneficiary will get the face amount of your insurance policy, plus any money this investment has earned. But the principal itself, the money you put away over all those years, stays with the company. On the other hand, should you live and wish to cash in your investment at any time, your life insurance policy automatically expires. So you can collect on your life insurance policy or you can collect on your investment, but you can't collect on both.
If somebody dies and they have this plan, they can't realize both sides of it. They can't get life insurance plus the capital they put in.
They get the growth on the capital and they get the life insurance.
They don't get the capital. That's the point I'm trying to make.
The way that the plan is designed, you're correct.
Okay. Therefore, my question is, aren't you penalizing your customers for bundling these together?
I don't believe so, because the research shows that most people, if you leave them unbundled, in fact, don't have both.
Well, that's not true either. If you just take a look at all of the extra money that flows into RRSPs every year and the billions of dollars of life insurance that are sold every day without a savings component attached to them, proves that that argument is ridiculous.
I have never found a product that put life insurance together with savings that did better for the consumer than an insurance policy and a savings program that were separate.
Are there any advantages?
None. Just none. I don't know of any advantages by putting the two together.
So what's the bottom line? Are you financially better off with a two-in-one package like the Investor? Or will you do better with a separate life insurance policy and a separate RRSP? Well, let's do a comparison using Diane Legere's policy as an example. Let's say she continued making those monthly payments to Manulife of $73 for, say, 20 years. Each month, $19 would go to pay for her insurance, and the remaining $54 would be invested for her retirement. Over the years, this money adds up. Now, if Diane were to die after paying into the fund for 20 years, her son Aaron, as beneficiary, would receive $25,000 from Manulife, plus whatever money this investment had earned. But, as we told you earlier, all this money she put into the investment over the years stays with the company. Now, let's say Diane shopped around and bought a separate insurance policy and a separate RRSP with a fixed interest rate. This time, after 20 years, her beneficiary would receive $50,000 in life insurance, plus the money she put into the RRSP and the interest it earned. The total payout with these separate policies would be $63,000 plus the RRSP interest, compared to a total payout for the Manulife Investor of $25,000 plus the growth on the investment portion.
Maybe I'm a bit thick about this, but I can't understand why you couldn't get the best of both those worlds with separate policies and pay no more. In fact, I think you yourself in your company offer services along those lines. Why put them together and face the restrictions of a tied-together policy?
Well, you're correct in saying that we do offer the components of this policy separately, and we make that available to our consumers. Again, as I indicated, the research shows that some people feel that more comfortable with a packaged product.
Well, there's no doubt that the product, the Investor product, is not a consumer-driven product. It's an agent, company-driven product. The agent wants to sell it because it pays a whopping big commission by contrast to other RSP programs, and the company wants to sell it because it's got a fat, overpriced insurance policy in it that's going to be very profitable.
The commission agents earn on the sale of the Investor is good. Because of the insurance component, agents can collect at least a 40% commission in the first year, compared to the commission they get on a regular interest-bearing RRSP of 1.5%. In this Manulife advertisement directed at insurance brokers, the company says, because the Investor offers protection or insurance as well as savings, it gives you the type of return you'd expect only from a life insurance sale.
Is that not saying to your sales staff, you can make a lot more money by convincing the consumer to buy this Investor plan than selling them anything else? Well,
this ad is directed at the brokerage community based on the target audience in that. It's tongue-in-cheek to get the attention of the brokerage community.
But aren't you sending a message with that kind of ad to any salesman, whether it's your own or the brokerage people, that, you know, here's a pretty good fat commission if you sell this kind of policy rather than standard RSP?
No, if you're trying to make the comparison, which you are, that looking at the compensation for this against a GIC, the compensation is clearly more than a person would get by selling a GIC. But our own statistics show that our agents don't do this just to make the compensation. 75% of our RRSP sales are products other than the Investor.
100% of them should be non-insurance products. I worry about that 25%. Who's selling it, who's buying it, and why are they buying it? And I'm afraid it's people like Diane Legere who either don't understand it or who do not read the documents they sign before they make the purchase.
You got some ideas yet for me for Christmas?
Diane Legere is now unemployed, and the $1,200 she lost is money she could use. Legere admits she should have read the contract more carefully before signing, but she says she'd known the agent who sold her the policy for 18 years.
Most of us can't afford to have someone come out and be an accountant for us and do all the paperwork for us and look it up and say, well, look, this is a good deal, that's not, don't take it. So we judge something by maybe what the person said to us and trust them. If it's someone you trust, you don't question it.